Chapter 1772 Agent Ling. This place is close to the Arctic Circle, and it already gives people such a terrifying and desperate feeling. It is really hard to imagine how the Fremons, people who live in the real Arctic Circle, survived this terrifying ice age. Fortunately, they have always been accustomed to the cold and are good at keeping warm. If it were the Southerners, they would basically die now, and even the few survivors would find it difficult to survive. Zhang Yi looked up and saw the huge Bailong River in front of him. At this time, the Bailong River was completely frozen. Compared with the Lujiang River in Tianhai City, its hugeness is indescribable. Looking down from the distant sky, you can see a white jade belt across the border between the two countries. Deng Shintong used the communication equipment to send a message to the contact personnel. Soon after, a figure appeared in front of everyone from the vast snow. From a distance, Zhang Yi's mind field felt a slight fluctuation in space. It should be something approaching them. He squinted his eyes, but the intelligent optical equipment did not capture the existence of anything. But he could feel that it was not far away. Zhang Yi looked in that direction, and soon, a slight distortion of light appeared in the space. A snow-white figure slowly emerged. If Zhang Yi did not have the ability to see through space, he would not have noticed the other person's existence. It was a woman wrapped in a snow-white combat uniform. She almost blended into the ice and snow, with a transparent eye mask on her eyes, but her face was a little cold. After seeing her appearance clearly, Zhang Yi was a little surprised, because she looked even less than 20 years old, still a girl. Soon the girl came in front of everyone. She glanced at everyone in front of her coldly and asked, "Who is the boss?" Deng Shintong smiled and raised his hand. "It's me." The girl did not know Deng Shintong's name. After all, both parties need to keep this kind of thing secret.
Oh.
The girl turned around, reached out, and took out a large remote control. After operating it for a while, Zhang Yi heard the sound of an engine roaring. Soon, a snowmobile suddenly jumped out of the snow pile, turned a big circle, and stopped in front of the girl. "This is my last mission. Boss, you've exposed my existence. I have no choice but to leave here. I hope you can arrange for me to go to the south." "Damn it. You don't know how much I hate this cold place," the girl complained. Deng Shintong smiled and said, "Of course." The girl turned her head and looked at him, looked at everyone and the surroundings, and confirmed again, "With so many of you, don't you have any means of transportation?" Zhang Yi smiled faintly and stretched out his hand to open the dimensional door. Then, one snowmobile after another appeared in front of her. The snowmobile, modified by Liu Karen himself, can be said to have the world's top performance, which is hundreds of times better than the snowmobile modified from the girl's off-road vehicle. Space-related aliens? The girl's eyes lit up immediately. Space-related aliens are extremely rare among aliens, and their abilities and convenience are first class. No wonder.
She sighed.
Zhang Yi came over and asked with a smile, "Excuse me, what is this girl's name?" The girl glanced at Zhang Yi and looked at Deng Shintong casually. She was only responsible for leading the way. Except for her boss, she didn't like to deal with irrelevant people. Deng Shintong said hurriedly, "This is the boss of our operation, and also my boss. So you have to try your best to meet his requirements." The girl turned around and stretched out her hand to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi held her thick gloves. "Big boss, you can call me Ling." Zhang Yi said with a smile, "You can call me Huanduan." Hearing the word Huanduan, the girl's eyes opened wider. "You are Hun Dun." Zhang Yi smiled. "Why, you have heard of my story?" Ling nodded. "Even if you don't want to hear it, it's probably difficult, right? Recently, your name has spread all over the world." Zhang Yi frowned slightly. "This is not a good thing for me." He is not a person who likes to be high-profile, but his strength does not allow him to be low-key. Ling said, "I didn't expect that such a powerful person would come for this mission." She suddenly looked at Deng Shintong with a smile and rubbed her fingers. "You didn't say at the beginning that this job would be so difficult, but I asked for an increase in compensation." When she mentioned money, she looked a lot happier. The indifference on his face also disappeared in an instant. Deng Shintong said with a smile, Okay. His eyes became serious. As long as you help us successfully complete the task in Fremons this time, your reward will be super doubled. Zhang Yi and his team still did not choose to use Space Shuttle. Coming to a strange land, he wanted to ask Ling for a lot of local news. Moreover, the speed of Space Shuttle is too fast, and some unexpected troubles may be encountered along the way. If you are not careful, you will directly break into the mechanical core, and you will inevitably have to fight in a hurry. Zhang Yi dared not underestimate the mechanical civilization. Even the city of Karen would be breached, so Zhang Yi dared not think that his team would be stronger than the pantheon of Fremons. Moreover, Alexi's reminder was still ringing in his ears. Miss Ling, please take us to the Far East. We want to find the location of the mechanical army. If you know anything, please tell us. Zhang Yi smiled and asked Ling to get on his snowmobile. Ling took a look at Zhang Yi's luxurious snow silver fox, and her eyes lit up immediately. In the far north, going out without a snowmobile is tantamount to seeking death. Therefore, transportation is particularly precious here. Zhang Yi's snow silver fox, placed here, is equivalent to the top-of-the-line Rolls-Royce before the end of the world. Ling was a little moved, but she looked at her snowmobile transformed from an off-road vehicle with some reluctance. Zhang Yi put the things into his own space. I'll put them away for you first, so as not to expose your tracks. When this matter is over, I will give you a better one. Ling turned her head to look at Zhang Yi, and in an instant, her expression became bright. Big boss, you are such a good person. After a while, Ling sat in the driving position of the Snow Fox, holding the steering wheel with both hands, and excitedly drove on the vast snowfield.
Oh.
This car is so cool, whether it is horsepower or chassis stability. It is not comparable to the garbage I drove before. Zhang Yi sat in the co-pilot, and Liang Yu and Huahua sat in the back. As for the other non-combatants in the family, Zhang Yi did not let them stay outside, but kept them in Mu Yan's shadow space. Looking at Ling with an excited face, Zhang Yi shrugged helplessly. Today's cars have very powerful artificial intelligence, and automatic driving is only stronger than humans. But most models retain the steering wheel. It's just because some people still want to experience the joy of manual driving. Zhang Yi's eyes fell on Ling's side, where a strip was wrapped in a white cloth. Gun? Or cold weapons? Zhang Yi did not ask more. To act here, one must be able to protect himself. Ling's fighting ability should not be bad, but Zhang Yi only needs her as a guide to give direction. On the way, Zhang Yi asked her about Fremons. We came here this time to investigate the mechanical civilization here. Do you know anything about this matters? Ling took the time to reply. The information I know has long been sent to the boss in the car behind to exchange for money. How could he still hide it? Exchanging money refers to exchanging for some important strategic resources. Zhang Yi said, Do you know that there are humanoid creatures among those mechanical legions? Ah. Ling turned her head and looked at Zhang Yi with a surprised face. What humanoid creatures? Her delicate little face was full of confusion. Zhang Yi looked at her calmly. It's a creature that looks like a human. Ling shook her head like a rattle. Boss, I'm just here to work and make money. I work hard to collect some intelligence and sell it to the boss behind me. Every time the mechanical army takes action, I always observe from a distance with equipment, or wait until they are done fighting, and then go over to collect some useful things. She waved her hand vigorously. I won't risk my life. As she said that, she swung the steering wheel vigorously. Haha, look at my 720-degree turn. Under her control, the Snow Fox spun several times in place like a gyroscope, then shook, and continued to drive forward. Zhang Yi and Liang Yu were both martial artists, and they grabbed the handle in time, and were not dragged around. But Huahua, who was originally sleeping on Liang Yu's thighs, was thrown onto the lathe and angrily yelled at Ling Miao. Ha ha ha. It's a really good car. It's so refreshing to drive. My broken car can only go up to 60 miles per hour, just like an ox cart. Hey, little cat, hold on tight when you're in my sister's car. Ling turned around and stuck out her tongue at Huahua, then lifted one leg and stepped on the steering wheel, driving the car with her foot. The temperature inside the car was very comfortable. The combat uniforms worn by Zhang Yi and the others were not bulky, but were the style of regular clothes, which could automatically adjust the temperature, so the car did not seem crowded. But Ling's combat uniform was not so advanced. So when she got in the car, she took off the thick outer layer, and her lower body was only in shorts. At this time, she raised her legs. Her two smooth calves were wearing white socks, and she stepped on the steering wheel wantonly, and she was very skillful in steering. Zhang Yi took a glance, and it was really white. Well, he meant the socks. Haven't you seen it before? Zhang Yi held his chin with one hand, looking at Ling, who was leaning on the steering wheel, with her big toe and her white socks separated from the other toes to lock the steering wheel, excitedly controlling the direction, and deep in thought. If even you haven't seen it, it seems that the humanoid creatures that Alexei mentioned are not very common. Suddenly, Ling's expression froze, and she raised her head as if she had thought of something, muttering to herself, "Things that look like people? That counts as one?" Zhang Yi asked quickly, "Did you think of anything?" Ling glanced at Zhang Yi and said with a playful smile, "I don't know if that thing counts as a humanoid. But I did see it when I went to collect materials once. When she was looking for information, she saw something very interesting." She rubbed her fingers towards Zhang Yi and made a classic gesture. "But this information is very expensive." Zhang Yi smiled unhappily. "Money is not a problem, as long as your information is valuable enough." As he said, he took out a glass container from the alien space and threw it to Ling. "This is the purest energy extracted from the yuan-shi or vein. It has now been widely used in all aspects of Tianhai City, including large-scale city defense weapons." "What is this?" Ling took the bottle curiously and looked left and right. "The purest energy, if used to exchange for food, it is enough for you to eat for a year. You personally should not be able to use it. You can find any force to exchange it. Such pure energy is the hard currency of this era." For Zhang Yi, such things have long been piled up into a small mountain in the alien space. After all, 70% of the yuan-shi or veins under the Qinling Mountains are in his hands. Ling certainly would not doubt who Hundan is. His name is the best golden signboard. "Thank you, boss. The boss is really generous." Ling smiled and stuffed the glass bottle into the backpack under the seat. Then she said to Zhang Yi, "Let me add your communication ID." Zhang Yi displayed his communication ID QR code and asked Ling to add him as a friend. Wait a moment. After Ling operated for a while, Zhang Yi soon received a video from her. The camera at the beginning of the video was very far away, even a little blurry, and it was shot from a snowy mountain. The camera gradually zoomed in, and a city full of smoke appeared. At this time, the city had been almost destroyed. The city was full of soldiers' corpses and the machine legions that Zhang Yi had seen before. There were super large robots like huge city walls and some smaller ones, but the smallest ones were 4 or 5 meters high. They were busy destroying the city and then began to dig underground. The camera shook left and right, and suddenly there was a dazzling light that caused the camera to lose the picture briefly. After a few seconds, the picture began to slowly return to normal, and the camera turned to the place where the light source was. Zhang Yi saw a group of human aliens parachuting from the sky and landing in the center of the city. They were wearing thick gray combat uniforms, and just from the material of the clothes, it could be seen that they were not ordinary combat troops. Zhang Yi's smart system immediately prompted the picture in the video. The clothes on these soldiers are from the Special Operations Force Krufa in Fremons. Fremons has very advanced human genetics. After the end of the world, they used genetic technology to cultivate many powerful aliens, many of whom joined the Krufa army. Among them, the best aliens even joined the Pantheon, which represents the highest hall of aliens. Zhang Yi asked, "Can you determine the identities of these people?" "It needs to be determined based on their abilities. The database does not have a comprehensive understanding of Fremons aliens." Zhang Yi also knew that the information of the top aliens in various countries was top secret. He stopped asking questions and continued to look at the screen. Dear viewers, this chapter ends here. Please subscribe for more episodes. Thanks.